أهلا بيكم أعزائي طلبة وطالبات الصف الثالث الإعدادي في حلقة جديدة من برنامج ساينس تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. النهاردة هنتكلم على lesson 2 which is about lenses. في الحلقات اللي فاتت كنا بدأنا نتكلم على الميررز وعرفنا types of mirrors either concave and convex mirror. This lesson we are going to discuss second type which is من الأوبتيكال أو الأوبتكس tools which are lenses. At the beginning, يعني إيه lenses? What's meant by lenses? Before to start to know what's meant by lenses, we are going to know something which is very important. Lenses دي are transparent medium. What's meant by transparent? يعني حاجة شفافة. I can see through it. غير الميررز. الميررز كانت لها either reflecting surface, either inner or outer. But here it's transparent surface. Transparent media that بتعمل حاجة مهمة جدا which is refraction of light. Here I said refraction of light and we are going to know what's meant by the word refraction. So it's a transparent media that refracts the light and it's defined by two spherical surfaces. يعني ايه defined by two spherical surfaces؟ يعني عندي two spheres. The two spheres are connected together, either intersected or touching each other. بنcut them from the intersected part or from the touching part. بنطلع بأنواع من الlenses as I'm going to see you and I show you now how can we define it. Okay, so يبقى هي عبارة عن إيه؟ Transparent medium that refracts the light that fall on it. And it's defined by two spherical surfaces. يعني لها two spherical surfaces. And it's usually made of إيه؟ made يا إما plastic يا إما glass. From this introduction, you can know what are the uses of lenses. Lenses may be used in, like we see in the figures now, in the medical eye glasses. كلنا بنلبس اللي بيلبس lenses, either medical glasses, so you can know that it's made of kind of optics called lenses. So it's used in medical glasses either for reading or for walking. Number two, it is used in telescopes, and I mentioned before what's meant by telescope. It's a device that used to magnify and make the far objects more nearer to us so we can see it easily as celestial bodies, as stars, planets, so we can use telescopes. يعني معنى كده إن telescopes are made of أو part منها are lenses. Number three are used in microscopes. The difference between microscopes and telescopes, microscopes we use it in the lab. So we can use the tiny or very, very, very small object or things under the microscope. So the microscopes are made of برضو lenses. يبقى medical eyeglasses, telescopes and microscopes. Another uses of the lenses are the binocular. You know the meaning of binocular? It's kind of thing which has two lenses that we use it في الباتلز في المعارك أو في kind of السباق like السباق horses and see, so we can see the far object nearer to us. So this is called binocular. Binocular. What's meant by bi? Bi يعني two. In Latin words, bi means two. Nocular يعني عندها two lenses. Okay, and we use it to make the far objects near to us. And also in magnifier lenses, sometimes we can't read the very, very small letters, so we use kind of lenses called magnified lens. Magnified means I can use it to make the letters bigger so I can read well. So it is used in magnified lenses to see the tiny parts of either reading or the tiny parts of watches. Some of the certain shops of watches, they start to fix the minute or tiny parts in the watches so they can't see by the naked eye. So they used the magnified lens. Why? To make the parts of the watches more bigger. So those are the uses of the lenses. طيب, I said at the beginning that the lenses used to refract أو ways of how can we use it to refract the light rays. طب what's meant by refraction of light ray? Refraction means bending. The word refract means bending of light ray. يعني إيه bending? That the light ray may be passing straight, then it will bend. يعني يتكسر. يتكسر ده مش قصدي إنه بيكسر. It's kind of observation للlight. If it transfer from medium to another. What's meant by medium to another? يعني لو light ray passing from the air to the water مش هيمشي straight. From the air to the water it should be bent. So this is called refraction of light. What's meant by refraction of light? It's the bending of light as you see here in this figure. امتى؟ when it passes from two transparent media. لازم ال two medium يبقوا transparent. Either air to water. يعني if I put a pen or a spoon in the water and I look to the part which is under the water, I can see the pen or the spoon refracted. أشوفها bending or مكسورة. هي it's not bending, but my eye after the light when passes from the medium which is transparent medium air to another transparent medium which is water, so the light refract. Light هو اللي بيرفراct. So I can see the spoon which is inside the beaker. I can see it broken, but it's not broken. It's real, but I can see it like this due to the refraction of light. امتى? When it happens, when the light passes from transparent medium like the air to another transparent medium which is the water, as you see here in the figure. Type. What are the types of lenses? The same names of the mirrors that we discussed before, either the concave and the convex. We have also convex lenses which converging or collecting the light rays that falls on it, and we have concave lenses that also diverge or scattered or separate the light rays that falls on it. طيب, let's go and see how those lenses formed. We are going to make a diagram. From this diagram we can see how those lenses be formed عشان نتخيل الشيب بتاع ال convex lens or either the convex or the concave lens جايين منين. Okay, so before that look here to this definition. What's meant by the convex lens? It's a transparent optical piece. I said before it's transparent at the beginning. يعني شفافة. طب what's meant by optical? I said at the beginning of the unit كلمة optical دي we use it to describe أي حاجة بيمشي فيها light. وجت منين؟ From the big nerve that found in our eyes that's called optical nerve. Okay, so what is this figure represent? Transparent optical piece which is thick. Where? In the center. لو احنا بنبص هنا في الشيب اللي قدامنا it's thick at the center and what? It's less thicker at the tips. Look to the two spheres. احنا قبل كده قلنا ان الأوبتيك tools دي كلها جاية من spheres. Here the spheres either intersected together. يعني intersected يعني they connected in a middle part. So look to the intersected part here in the diagram. عامل لي which shape? shape ال convex lens. لها shape دائري كده اسمه convex lens coming from the intersected part of the two connected spheres. Two spheres connected together intersected from the middle عملوا لي الشكل ده اللي اسمه convex lens و it's transparent. طيب what about the other type which is this shape؟ جه منين الشيب ده؟ هنشوف. it's برضو transparent optical piece. هنتفق ان ده بداية الديفينيشن بتاع two lenses transparent. It should be transparent and it's optical piece. وقلنا يعني ايه optical piece. طيب that what is the difference between this shape and the other? Here it's thin. Where? رفيعة فين؟ in the middle and thick in the two tips. رفيعة thin من الميدل و thick at the two tips. طب coming from what? Look to the figure. برضو I have two spheres but beside each other. So if I got the section from the two spheres اللي مقربين لبعض, I have the shape of the concave lens. يبقى أنا دلوقتي فهمت الشيب بتاع الكونفكس. either the shape of the convex عاملة الشكل ده منين؟ from the intersection of the two spheres together. الاتنين اتقابلوا مع بعض so عاملين لي الشكل الكونفكس lens. while if they are touching each other from the tips عملوا لي الشكل which is the middle, الميدل thin and thick in the two tips. And this is what is the difference between the two shapes of the concave and the convex lens. طيب I have here give reason بيقول لي the convex lens is called converging lens. Before we start to answer this type of question we have to know بتعمل ايه. احنا اللانسز قلنا بترفراكت يعني بتبند اللايت ريز that falls on it. طب after bending بتعمل ايه كمان؟ بعد ما بتعمل refraction بتconverge يعني بتcollect the refracted light rays that falls on it. So the answer why? Because the convex lens collect the rays that falls on it. طب let's see how. If I draw this shape of lens and then the parallel rays falling on it, هنشوف بقى الريفراكشن بيحصل ازاي. The rays will bend and then collected in a point called focus. As we said before, the collected point اللي بيتجمع فيها either reflecting or refracting بسميها focus. So the answer easy because the lens collect the light ray that falls on it. طيب لما بتكلم على الكونفكس لانس انها converging. طب what about the other type which is called concave. انا بلعب بكلمتين هما converging and diverging not more. So يبقى لما اقول second give reason the concave lens is called diverging. We said before what's meant by diverging? Separating, scattering or diverging. But don't choose the word diverging because it's in the question. You have to use another word in the answer that the concave lens separate, scattered the light rays that falls on it. Let's see how. This is the concave lens. Then those are the light rays that falls on it. What happens to the light rays? التانية كانت بتجمع دي هتseparate. So guess كده how from the point from the middle part the light rays started to be separated, scattering away from the lens. Let's see how. Here this is the shape of refraction but by diverging or scattering the light ray. So from those shape you can easily answer this type of question which is either the convex lens is converging, while the concave lens is diverging. You can draw it easily and I will let you see how can we draw it very easily after a while. Now we have special concepts of the lenses. Now before I start this concept, you know from the diagram that I show it late in the previous slide that we have to have two spheres. Either the two spheres intersected together or they are touching each other. If they are intersected together, they form which type? Convex lens. Type. From this shape, I can get some concepts like some definitions من الشكل ده. Let's see what are those definitions. The first definition هيفكرنا بإحنا you took before كلمة center of curvature in the mirror, but here is center of curvature defined with another way. It's the center. Let's see the shape and then from the shape you can easily write the definition. Here the two intersected spheres. So easily what type of lens here? It's a convex lens in the middle. طب how can I define center of curvature? look here, I have only one center of curvature? Of course not. I have two because I have two spheres intersected together. So يبقى what's meant by the center of this curvature is the center of the sphere where the face is a part of it. Face of what? Face of lens. يعني السنتر اللي البارت اللينس بارت منه. Here it's very obvious in this figure. And also in the concave mirror, the same definition. It's the center of the sphere where the face is a part of it. What's meant by the face? قصده ايه بالفيس؟ الفيس of the lens. يعني الحته اللي باينه من اللينس دي لو انا جنبها من البارت ده ومن البارت ده في two spheres فعندي two center of curvature. You know now عندي ليه two centers of curvature in this case؟ علشان هي part of two spheres, not only one sphere. This is the first definition. Second is the what's meant by optical center or center of vision. It's a new definition, new concept. We didn't take it before في mirrors. Why? عشان ده اسمه optical center. الجزء اللي بشوف منه احنا اتفقنا ان this is kind of lens that we use it to see in the lenses في الجلاسز either for walking or reading. ففي جزء جوه اللينس هو المسؤول اللي بيجمع لي اللايت ري so I can see. So عشان كده سميناه optical center or center of vision. What's meant by vision? Vision يعني seeing الرؤية. السنتر بتاع الفيجن هو ايه؟ تخيل كده هيكون انهي بارت؟ هو الميد بوينت اوف ذا لينس، يعني نص اللينس بالظبط. يعني if I'm going to draw it I have to put the optical center in the middle of the lens، مش فوق ولا تحت. What's meant by بقى optical center؟ and I said it, it's a point inside the lens. بس where؟ on the principal axis. واتفقنا what is the principal axis؟ هو الاكس اللي في النص اللي connected it to center of curvature. We took it before في الميرور ف you know it quite well. Then in the midpoint of both those here is the which is represented by the letter O is the optical center of the convex lens فين في الميدل and here is the optical center of the concave lens. يبقى from the drawing can you define it? It's a point in the middle of the or in the center of the lens ومكانها فين on the principal axis يعني لا فوق ولا تحت في الميدل بالظبط. اسمها ايه؟ لها two names either optical center or center of vision. Let's move to the next definition. We have another concept which is called radius of curvature. It's not new. We took it before in the mirror. But here هنشوف هو ايه. I said radius before. We took it in the geometry. Radius of the sphere. عارفين يعني ايه radius؟ طيب here the radius of curvature is the half the diameter of the sphere. يعني السفير اللي عندي دي اشوف half the diameter يعني انهي part. Look here the ray which is from center of curvature to the tip of the lens is called radius of curvature and here R2 the radius of curvature. يعني أي line هعمل له extension from the center of curvature لللens is called radius of curvature. يبقى what's meant by radius of curvature? As we define it في الجيومتري it's half the diameter but a half the diameter of the sphere where the lens face or part of it. لازم أزود الحتة دي هقول half diameter of the sphere in which the face is a part of it. Face of what? Face of the lens as you saw now. طيب let's move to the next. I know it's more than one definition but very easy. If you recognize the shape you can get the definition easily. طب what's meant by principal axis? It's very easy, you know it before. أنا قلت أي principal axis I said straight line. But here في simple difference between it and the mirror. Here في عندي two centers of curvature. يبقى define it straight line that join between the two centers of curvature. And it should be passed by what? النص ده اسمه ايه؟ the midpoint or the center of vision or the optical center. يبقى again what's meant by principal axis we explain it اهو قدامنا على الدروينج. Here is the principal axis. من الشيب يبقى it's a straight line that connects the two centers of curvature, but it should pass with what? With the center of vision. يعني بنص اللينس لازم يمر بالبوينت اللي في النص, which is called optical center or center of vision. The last concept here is the secondary axis. We know it before that it's any line passes by the optical center of the lens except the principal axis. يعني اللاين اللي passes by the optical center في أي حتة أهو like this one principal axis, but except the which part? The principal axis. The last concept, which is the focus and the focal length, but before we start to know the definition, let's go and see this activity together. Now let's see how can you determine or know the focus and the focal length in the cases of lenses. To determine the focus and the focal length of the convex lens, we get these materials. We have to use convex lens, a light source, a screen. Look to the figure in front of you. This is the screen and this is the convex lens, and I have a light source. What our observation after we use this experiment and we start to put the lens sometimes in front of the screen and sometimes away from the screen, we got a lit point. What's meant by lit point? Lighted point. هنشوف نقطة منورة on the screen. يبقى what is our observation after we use all those things? Our observation is the light rays being refracted and collected in a lit line. Here you can see this is the convex lens and this is the midpoint, and those are the light rays. After they fall on this lens, they start to be refracted. You see the refraction here by this shape, and after refraction all this point are, or all this refracted ray are collected in a point which is lit. What's meant by lit point or lighted point? Called what? Called focus of the lens. Okay, and this point I can receive it on the screen. After I put the screen, I can receive it. But remember, if I said I can receive this point on the screen, so it's real ولا virtual? Yes, it's real. Okay, so after that we can see that how can I determine the focus and the focal length of the convex lens? After I got this lit point, I use a meter or a ruler and start to measure. Measure what? The part from the focus to this part, so it is a focal length. طيب يبقى الconclusion عندي ايه؟ That the convex lens is a converging. What's meant by converging? You can see here in the figure. After the light rays falling on the lens, it will converge or collect. Where? In a point called focus. دي أول conclusion. Okay, then the point of collection of those parallel light rays, so جاية منين؟ ممكن from the source of light as we did now, or from the sun rays, من الsun rays من بعيد أو من very far object. So this أو this point called the focus of the lens. طب how can I know the focal length? I can know the focal length by calculating the distance between what? Between the focus and the optical center, which is located here in the mid part of the, or in the center of the lens. I get a ruler and I measure this distance, so I have the focal length. Remember from the mirror, the focal length, the relation between the focal length and the radius, or the radius of curvature, we said that the focal length is half of the radius of curvature, or the radius of curvature is double the focal length. It's the same as we took before in the mirror. Here we reach a special concept, the last concept here from the concepts of definitions of lenses, which is the focus is the point of collection of the reflected light ray, of the refracted light ray after passing on it. So the last one is the focal length. What is the focal length? It's the distance between what? Between من الاسم focus and the optical center of the lens. Here is the focus and here is the optical center. So if I measure it, هو ده definition of the focal length. Here is the focal length of the convex lens, and here I can get the focal length of the concave mirror, concave lens. Here we can see the collection of reflected light rays, and here you can see the diverging of the reflected light rays. As I said before, it diverge يعني scattered بيبعدوا عن بعض, but the extension when I said before في الميرور any dotted lines ما يتقابلوا مع بعض يعملوا لي virtual focus. Then here is the last part. Let's sum up what we took here in this episode. We spoke about the lenses and we defined the lenses, and it is transparent, and we know the different types of lenses. Either how can I draw it, coming from either two spheres intersected together or two spheres coming in a part together. In the next episodes, we are going to know what are the rules, and we know a certain skill of how drawing the images formed in the convex and concave mirror. Let's see together. You are going to see you next episode. Till see you. Goodbye.